This Philly talk with Philly Mike. Talking sixes in the bird gang, that's I like. Competition, we ain't scared, yeah, that's what we like. Win or lose, you know we showing up and we gon' fight. You see we strive for the sky every day that go by. And every single week we screaming fly, eagles fly. This is Philly talk with Philly Mike, yeah. This is Philly talk with Philly Mike, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Talk podcast, and today we are live with a special guest. What's going on, Philly 500?
What is happening, Mike, man? Thank you for having me on, dude. I see you got quite the interesting people in here. Jason Rose is watching the show without pants on, dude. I mean, yeah, I've never seen that before, but all right, it's that kind of year. Let's party.
It
you know
is.
What I'm saying?
Let's party. You know what? And here's the kicker. Y'all won't even know if we got pants on because you're only gonna see.
You ain't gonna know. You ain't gonna know. You might hear a thud, but you ain't gonna know.
But today, you know, we're around the corner for training camp, not mini camp, 8 days, and some answers are gonna be figured out, and some stuff we won't know until to the season because of the way that Nick Sirianni likes to run it. He likes to be more on the safer side. But before we get into your thoughts on camp, because I haven't talked to you much since OTAs, how do you feel about the news? Craig James being released and AJ Brown looking like he's faster than ever, which, you know, we're going to look at in a couple of minutes.
I haven't seen the AJ Brown thing yet, but I'm very interested in seeing it. As far as the Craig James thing goes, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think they're pretty stacked defensive with the defensive backs. So it doesn't surprise me. What's interesting is now you have a roster spot open. So are they going to make a move? Are they going to bring in maybe a Jordan Howard or somebody? Is there going to be another move with that? To me, that's the biggest question, really, of anything in terms of that.
Yeah, and because we have an abundance of cornerbacks, just because you move one don't necessarily mean you got to go get a cornerback. That's where, like you said, we could bring in maybe one of the running backs we can use as a bruiser. But it is interesting because Craig James don't get much PT, but I think he was, you know, for Eagles purposes, a little higher on. He played special team. He was definitely a special team contributor. So now it's what cornerback, which extra player gets to get a roster spot just to contribute in special teams, and who knows where we can call on them down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think some of the people that they're going to be playing, I think they got some linebackers that can play special teams this year, right? Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor. So I think they got enough horses on special teams. Where I would like to see the Eagles improve is in the return game. I mean, no more fair catches, 2-yard returns for Greg Ward, right? I did a video, and I'll have it out later, but I talk about that because that's the one area going into training camp. If you really think about it, like, I don't think the Eagles have improved. We hope Covey or Devin Allen, one of those guys, can do it, but we don't know yet, you know?
Yeah, and I think only one of them get a spot because of that, if they're able to do it. I don't think both of them make it, no matter how much we like what they can bring to the table. We're talking about, we got some big name wide receivers. It doesn't feel like we haven't been able to say before, but we don't got to have the stragglers. Like, we understand the long shots, the Greg Wards, the Devin Allens. Yeah, who knows what they could be, but it's good to know that we don't have to rely on somebody just coming out of the woodwork. We got legit guys. And with that being said, shout out to My Own Perspective for joining the channel membership. And let's take a look at this race, because Elijah Moore coming into the NFL, the New York Jets wide receiver, he ran a 4.34. Now, not supposedly, when AJ Brown came out, he ran a 4.49. They say you can't teach speed, but whether it's joking around or not, AJ looks to be moving in this. So let's take a quick look at this race. And then again, when I was doing this on my video, I totally lapsed and didn't look at the cone. So the cone is the finish line for the people who watch my video, and I kept saying I don't even know where the finish line is. It's a close race. Here we go. 2 angles, from the first one in fast motion and the second one in slow motion. There's the first one. They booking it. They booking it. And now here it's going to go slow motion and then even slower motion at the finish line to see who won. And it gets crazy because the angle favors AJ Brown. But look, that cone right there, bang. And then it goes a little bit faster. But sheesh, that's a big man, 220 something running.
Yeah. Yeah, man, he kept up with them. So, yeah,
Call it.
AJ Brown's a stud. What can we say, man? I'm so happy that he's on our team.
Exactly. And I've been saying this a lot. I don't know if I said it to you, but he's not even in his prime yet. Receivers don't really become that dude to 25 to 29. You get it. Look at the Stephon Diggs, the DeAndre Hopkins. Look at even Tyreek Hill. He's going into that stage. And so there's so much more untapped potential from AJ Brown. And we got a really good collection of our receivers to bring it out.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about, like, he's been in primarily a heavy run offense, right? Pretty much his career with Tennessee. I think he's going to get more opportunities here. And as good as he is, dude, you got Devontae Smith, who I think is an absolute beast in himself. So I don't remember a dynamic duo like these two guys on the Eagles. I can't, potential's way up there.
Yeah, and as LB said when we were talking about Devin Allen, who has some speed itself, I would like to see a race really between Devin Allen and Quez Watkins. I don't know. I still play Madden, even though they've been kind of crappy over the years. And Madden just came out with their speed ratings, and Quez Watkins is number 3 with 98. So it's number 1 Tyreek Hill, number 2 is Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, a rookie, didn't even play yet, and Madden already got them at number 2. And then number 3 is Quez. Both Williams and Quez have 98. I guess he gets the nod for acceleration or something, but Quez is up there, 98 overall speed.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. But I mean, really, Devin Allen's a world-class sprinter, man, or track and field athlete, right? Hurdler. Yeah. So, I mean, he'd have to be the fastest guy, I would think.
See, I don't think Madden probably don't even really know about him yet. If he ended up making a roster, right? You know how they do their upgrades. I think he'll be in it because, again, he came in first place in the 300-meter, and running and what is that called? Hurdling. They're different, but he's been an Olympian for a long time. And so we'll see what that. I think he gets the first nod to be that special team guy as long as he can take a hit.
Yeah, well, and we've seen guys come in from college who were good at the return game in college, and then in the NFL preseason starts and they look like a deer in headlights. So you don't know how he's going to react. He also hasn't played in 4 years. So I don't know what to expect from Devin Allen. I'm hoping that him or Covey, one of those guys, can win that position battle. But it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and so training camp on the horizon. What is your top battles you want to see from the Eagles? Whether it's offense, defense, whether it's a secondary. We know the top 2 as we spoke about, 1A and 1B, and Devontae and them. But where's your mind going for battles that can really sharpen each other up, and we don't really know the answer yet?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few. I think there's some. If you start receiver, I think the third receiver battle is kind of interesting because I think Quez and Pascal are kind of 2 different type of wide receivers. So how are they going to use those guys? I still think there's an issue with Reagor because Reagor, if he's on this roster with the front office paying him and him being a first round pick, would they really be okay making him the 5th receiver? You know what I mean? Or does he have his head together? And has he got his stuff ready to make a move? So I think wide receiver, I think that like 3rd, 4th receiver, I think that's an interesting battle. I think the tight end number 2 battle is interesting because I'm not sure you have a tight end number 2. I'm not sold on Whiteside. Stahl, I'm not so big on. Tyree Jackson's coming back from injury. Richard Rodgers can never stay healthy. He's good when he plays. And then you have the Calcaterra, which we haven't seen him play it down yet. So that's another position battle I think is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and I really don't have no hope for Whiteside. I understand that a lot of people have been, when he had his whole downfall for wide receiver, people were like, well, let's play him tight end. Like, here's the thing. Reagor's downfall was it's unexpected for a first one. It shouldn't be for a first round pick, but we've seen a guy get on the field and just stink. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's story is so peculiar because not only do we know he stinks, he can't get on when there's other guys who stink. Like his story has been incredibly horrible.
Horrible. Now will that change at tight end? I don't know. I mean, people think, oh, because he blocks defensive backs, that means he's going to block defensive ends and linebackers. I don't think so. I think if he's going to be successful, he's got to be a receiving tight end. So I don't have much confidence in him, and I'm really not sure. I'm not sure who's going to win it. Maybe this kid Calcaterra, maybe he's our best bet. I like Tyree Jackson, but he's come back from injury, right? I would stash him. I would try to stash him on IR for the year and just let him sit and learn. I think one more year to just learn is not a bad thing. So that's an interesting battle. I think there's some interesting linebacker battles. T.J. Edwards, you have Nakobe Dean. What about Davion Taylor? What's he going to do on this team? You obviously have a battle at safety. Tart, Anthony Harris. I think those two guys are kind of going to battle it out. And then there's guys like Zeke McPherson. Like, I want to see how much of an improvement he makes from last year. He looked pretty good at times in training camp. So, a lot of interesting battles,
Yeah, I definitely look at that. We haven't played much of it last year. Even Jonathan Gannon came out and said, like, we don't play dime. I think he was trying to lean towards we don't have the personnel. But, the way these teams come at you now, you might bring out some 4 wide receiver sets. You got to have a package where you throw four corners out there. We can play some big nickel with 3 safeties good out there, and that's where we get pulled a little tight because now you're really stretching out to Epps, Harris, and Tart. But who is that 4th cornerback? Because it's one of them young guys, and/or we did sign that Jimmy Moreland guy, who I think has some experience.
I see Moreland being the backup slot from Avonte Maddox. So that's what I think him. But you're right. Who's the 4th guy? I don't know.
Yeah, and he won't have to play many snaps. But again, in the game of football, it's that one snap, that one guy that you get on there. He only plays 4 snaps, but he gives up, depending on if we're playing man zone, he gives up something big, it can come back to bite you. So I think you definitely got to see that. And again, we got to knock on the injury front, because last year we were really successful there. But again, we're playing it tight where right now you look at our corners, it looks great because Maddox played at a Pro Bowl level to me in the slot where he's comfortable. Then you get Bradbury and Slay. But, last year, Nelson, which I think is Bradbury is an upgrade. He's, to me, was always that C-, a guy who you can just count on to be okay. He's not going to win games for you, but he's not going to get beat.
Right. No, I agree. I think he's definitely an upgrade. I mean, he's a really solid number 2, You there?
I don't know what's going on. Can
you there?
Are we good? We good?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what happened. I was talking to myself for like
a second, right?
I was like talking to myself.
It's raining over here, but I don't know why I should be doing this. Am I good? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. I see you.
Yeah, like back. So Mario Goodwich is one of the guys who caught our eye when we first got him. How do you think he can take over? Your first guy is Zach McPherson, because where we drafted him and what you think, the Eagles kind of believe in.
Well, he's second year into the system, right? And he did show us some things last year, so I'm interested in him. As far as Goodrich and those undrafted free agents, I have no idea what to expect until they get on the field. I know that Goodrich they paid a lot of money to, right? Like, he was one of the highest undrafted free agent rookie signings. So I mean, there's some guys. There's Tay Gowan, right? There's some other guys on this team. But I think they like McPherson. I think I'm hopeful that he's going to surprise us. I like Jimmy Moreland as the backup to Avonte Maddox. So I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and so sticking on defense a little bit, that whole safety saga we got going on, right? It looked like we only had both Epps and Harris to be in line to be the starters with Kavon Wallace getting some play and having an opportunity to make his name, but he got to stay healthy and take care of his own business. But now we see Tart thrown into it. If you had to just predict come day one or how the Eagles are going to feel after this camp, who gets the two starting nods, do you think?
I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Epps and Tart. I think Tart is eventually gonna beat out Anthony Harris. I do. I think he's a little more versatile. I think he's a little better in pass coverage, and I think Tart is going to beat out Anthony Harris. I think they like Epps, and I think they want to give him reps. Right, he's young, so to me, the battle is really Harris versus Tart. I think that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, when we first got Tart, that was my spin on it. That, we look at Anthony Harris like as a guy who's automatically locked. No, he got a 1-year deal just like Tart. When you have that 1-year deal, you could be just as good as a depth piece. You're not necessarily having to play, and especially, you've seen the Eagles start to throw Epps in the mix a lot more, and he actually played very, very soundly in a minimal amount of snaps. Now we got to see him do that with volume, but it should be interesting. But that was my first take too. I'll definitely want to look at what goes on in camp and preseason, but I could definitely see a scenario where it's Tart Epps. Not saying that Harris don't get on, but at one time more of a free safety. Now he's playing more in the box as of late, and so he could be that extra guy on run support and to help in passing downs on a big nickel.
It may take a while too. Like you could see, I could see a situation where like the first 4 or 5 weeks you have Anthony Harris, and then they make a move at some point with Tart taking over. But I like Tart. I thought that was a good sneaky signing, and I think he's going to win the starting job.
Now I know you've been big with the Bates debates.
Yes, yeah.
What would it take? Like what do you think it would take to actually secure him in a trade?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on how long this thing goes. We know the Bengals can be very stubborn, right? I kind of look at Bates as like a situation where maybe you get him at the trade deadline. Like he could be a trade deadline piece for a team because it'll give Cincinnati time to be frustrated with him that he didn't show up or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to think about a first round pick, but I don't want to really spend a first round pick on him. Not until I know that Jalen Hurts is the guy, right? Because I have 2 first round picks. I need to know that Jalen Hurts is the guy. If Jalen Hurts goes out there and let's say he's killing it, and you get close to the trade deadline, then I'm willing to wheel and deal. Otherwise, I would look at a situation where maybe I give up like a second and something else. Something like that. But I would try to keep that first round pick. I think you got to try to keep both those first round picks.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, unless it was a sweet, sweet deal, I don't think I would even want to do anything that's going to still mortgage our future crazily until we know more about this team in its totality. I think that we are set up now to be, everything we want to be, if we are who we think we are, and that's where you can then do all of your due diligence throughout the season and figure out what this team needs. So to say, like how in 2017 we really started to feel the fire that we had, and we went out there and made that last signing with a Jay Ajayi. Just because we did a running back then don't mean we won't do like a safety or a position of need now. Right. I think you have to be sure about that, because although I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts, I remember the concerns. I saw growth throughout the season, because from September to December, we've seen a lot from not really wanting to throw to the left a little bit more, not messing with his tight end a little bit more, staying in the pocket a little bit more. Was he Peyton Manning in the pocket? No, but we saw the little pieces the little increment of growth. And so I'm willing to give it another shot, but I still have my concerns as a consistent passer. He's a baller. He's a playmaker. But to really continue to win and we've seen it. We've seen even guys who get 1 year on top of their game, sometimes the NFL takes a little bit, but they adjust. And so I just want to see where his game goes up and where the NFL looks at him this year.
I 100% agree. I'm hopeful that Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy. I'm hopeful he's going to improve, but I can't tell you for sure right now. I got to see it on the field. There's got to be things that he gets better at. I thought, I remember that I think it was the second half of that Chargers game. I thought that was the game where he took a step forward, because you remember he go back to pass his read ain't there. He bails to his right, always bails to his right. In that Chargers game, he started to stay in the pocket a little more, and I thought he improved a lot. That was the game that made me think, well, you got to give this guy more time. So hopefully another year, and he's going to go out there and prove it. But it's impossible for me to know right now. You know?
Yeah. And a lot of times you would see the games that show you something, and then there's a game that kind of brings it back to earth.
Yeah.
That could be a couple things. He's also, we got to remember, he's a young guy. He's 23 years old. So even good guys who are 23-year-olds have bad games, and he's been trying to improve his passing, being a consistent passer and win from the pocket, win with his arm. But I definitely saw the increments, and I do believe in the work ethic and the attitude and just the winning mentality. You know, he's a guy who, in clutch time and crunch time, if the game is close, you know, he has so many different ways to move the change. And I believe in the way we went about it. A roster can elevate the talent of a quarterback and really bring out the best. And then it's all about feeling comfortable and knowing what you need to do. So I have high hopes for Jalen Hurts too. I mean, he looks to his left, he looks to his right. You got to feel comfortable with the weapons around you.
Right. You would think so. I mean, you know, of all the years, you go back. I mean, the Eagles. I mean, I guess Macklin, Jackson, Shady. That was a really great trio, right? That was really good. This, in my opinion, has the potential to be better. You know, because I look at Devontae Smith and AJ Brown as both legit number ones. So the Eagles did everything possible to make and help Jalen Hurts succeed. You know what I'm saying? They didn't hold back. They didn't, you know, there's not a whole side of the wide receiver where we're going, he needs help. He doesn't have enough help. They gave him everything you could possibly ask for. So, I mean, there's no excuse. There's just no excuse, in my opinion. Barring massive amounts of injuries and whatnot. You know, he's got receivers. He's got a tight end. He's got running backs. He's got probably, top 3 offensive line in football. There's no excuse.
None at all. And then you even throw a guy in like Quez, who I'm not trying to make him out to be some crazy guy, but in his first year, but yeah, I agree. In his first year, really getting some PT, some recognition, he has almost 650 yards. And when you look at a skill set of Devontae Smith, and that's why I think that Pascal, although Nick Sirianni loves him and he is very good from the slot, I actually try to break down a little bit. They both played from the slot a lot last year. But the way Quez just fits with the physical guy on the right side, the route runner on the left, and that's not to say that AJ can't run routes and this guy can't do that, but the complementary of them three for a guy in Quez that if you just say, yeah, he can run slants, he can run screens, but he's the prototypical guy you want stretching the field for you.
Right.
It's just a perfect scenario. And then you do got someone like Pascal who's a bigger body and can run play from the slot. Like you said, it's set up for, again, Jimmy G's a guy who I think is average, and he's able to consistently win games and even get some places because of a roster that was built around him for him to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do.
I totally 100% agree. It's going to be interesting because I think at times you could put A.J. Brown in the slot, right? And you put Quez on the outside. I love that. I love moving A.J. Brown around. So it's going to be interesting. If I had to guess that whole wide receiver battle, I think Quez wins the 3rd receiver, Pascal the 4th receiver. And what are you going to do with Reagor? That's the question that keeps coming to my mind because, look, if you know how front offices work, right? GMs want to justify, why am I paying this guy this much money? And when he's this pick, he's a 1st-round pick. Are they really going to make him the 5th wide receiver? I think there's a chance he could get cut. I really think there's a chance. That's
a big. I forgot. I looked it up at one time, but it's a chunk of change that we're losing if we cut him.
I think after June 1st, it dropped to like $1.5 million dead money. So I don't know, but I mean, I can't see the Eagles saying Reagor is the 5th receiver on this team, or the 4th receiver when he's a 1st-round pick. It's hard for me to imagine, but I mean, I think if Reagor plays it smart and goes in, works his butt off, you know, has good practices, maybe they could build up his trade value. You know, and maybe you could trade him for like a 7th-round pick in 2040. You know, something. Get anything for him.
Yeah, just as long as you're not taking the hit and you're moving off from you can call that still successful.
Yeah. Right. I just really wonder because I wonder how he thinks. Like, all right, I got this guy, first round pick. He's making, I don't know what he's making, but how are they going to justify him as the 5th wide receiver? I don't know. Yeah.
Real quick, shout out to JB with the $2 super chat. He said Denzel and French Montana. What's going on in here?
What's up, man?
I knew Denzel was on the screen. I didn't know about the other guy. You know what I mean? But shout out to you for the $2 super chat. And that's where it gets scary. And again, in a perfect world, he's on the roster and he's kind of just warming the bench. But there's always that chance that early in the season, you start to see him creep into the lineup. Not so much because we did see Howie Roseman kind of admit with, the second half of the season, Quez got more snaps than Reagor.
Yeah.
And then you saw him come out in the press conference and be like, yeah, I kind of, and the way he said it, he really poo-pooed on him by saying like, he was legitly wrong. He kind of just was blunt about the whole scenario. And so right there and there makes me think, all right, he's starting to realize what has happened. And it is what it is. If you mess up, you mess up. The better organization just realize it and deal with it. Because everybody makes bad picks. He had a couple real bad ones though.
Yeah, Danny Watkins. Yeah. One more year, Howie. One more year. Give me a good draft, and I'll do my apology. I'll put a tie, a suit on, and I'll give him a proper apology. I need one more good draft.
Yeah, which was good because the big round table we got when it was like 8 of us, right? We all said it, and a lot of us forgave. And I'm in the what have you done for me lately? That's what I think about football and all that. And so I forgave, but I totally understand how you feel. You gave him his flowers, so to say. You just like, I need one more. I need that one more solid because that this next draft, whether it's us investing in a quarterback or investing in the rest of our team because we got our quarterback, this is the little finishing touches then to really become something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that with my luck, as soon as I do the apology video, he'll screw it up. So I don't want to do it yet. I want to wait. I said 3. I think he's done 2. He's had 2 good drafts. So one more, and we're good. We're good.
So I asked this question, and this is jumping ahead, looking ahead, and I asked the chat before. Shout out to the 320 in the building. Hit that like. Make sure you're subscribed to everybody in chat. You should be. You definitely should be. But just double check that. With all that being said, if I had to ask you right now, and we're still riding the hype train because we have 8 days left. And so I want to get your take now, because if we do talk in the middle of preseason or a little bit after training camp, I want to see how much it changes right now. Give me a percent of us losing week 1 to the Lions. Chat, you could do the same. We did it before. So 0 to 100. What is the percentage of us coming out our opener game
and losing to Detroit?
And losing to Detroit. Give me a percentage before training camp, and then we'll find out what we feel after.
I'll say 18%. 18% lose. I mean, I can't give them 12. It's Detroit, right? But you know those week 1 games can always be a little dangerous. You never know, especially if they're not playing anybody in preseason, and you wonder, and they come out maybe they're rusty. So you don't know. But I'll say 18. I'll say 18%.
Yeah, real quick, shout out to Texas Eagle with the $5 super chat. He said, I hate to say it, I live in the Big 12 country and thought Reagor would be better. I was wrong. Listen, although a lot of people just said like LSU, Justin Jefferson, Reagor, you should have did that pick. However, Reagor did come into the NFL with a skill set that for some reason he lost it. Like, let's not act like both Reagor and Whiteside didn't do decent to good things where they were. Just so happens they came here and they both weren't just wild.
The thing with Reagor, right? And I said this in my video today, it was like, I look at him and I think he has the skill set to play. I've seen him do some good things, right? I think he's like a Nelson Aguilar. That's why I call him Regular.
Yeah.
He's in his head. Like, if you look at the successful plays he had, right? He had a punt return for a touchdown versus Green Bay. I think he fumbled the catch, had to react and move. There was a short punt last year where he had a great return. He had no time to think about it. The wide receiver screen, I believe, versus Atlanta, scored touchdown. No time to think. It seems like when he has no time to think and just has to react, he's decent. But he thinks too much. He's like in his head, and he plays real slow. I never thought Reagor, at worst case scenario, I thought we had ourselves a good punt return. You know, at very worst, he was going to be good at punt return.
Yeah, and that's why it's just crazy, and it's crazy. And we talked about it, you know, the DK Metcalfs and the Justin Jeffersons. It's disgusting. But now that we can sit and say Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, although it still hurts, you can be a little bit better there. But when I asked the chat, we got a couple 0%, 20, 10, 20, 40, 0, 10, 10, 15, 26. We got a hater in here said 100%. You don't know what he's talking about. He's a Cowboy fan, of course.
Yeah, or a Lion fan.
Or a Lions fan. Hey, they both won the same amount of championships in the last 20.
That's true. That's true.
But so we got a lot of that. But mine, I said earlier, or the last stream I did, I said about 15, 16, only because it's the Lions. Jameson Williams not going to play. And although they got better and they believe what they're doing over there, I think that the Eagles have been traditionally pretty good. Like, look what we did to Atlanta. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I say that now, but again, barring a camp where we start to hear, whoa, this guy's having problems, or this guy and this guy, or vice versa, we can get our percentages differently. And so that's why I wanted to get your take now, when all we know is that we are paper type champs. Because if you look around the league, we're top 5 in what we did this offseason. There's no, some people can say, well, look, Denver got Russell Wilson, quarterback's a big thing, blah, blah, blah. We're top 5. I'm not going to argue with the rest of the NFL. And so right now, it feels good to be this, but now again, we got to go on the gridiron. So
yeah. I mean, we could talk about how great everything looks. I think this is one of the best off seasons I can remember, but it don't mean nothing until you play on the field.
Facts. Shout out to Felix with the $5 super chat. Appreciate the love and support. Jersey Boy with the $2 super chat said Reagor/Pascal splitting playing time, camp battles. We're about to get into a little bit more of that. Do you see, if Quez becomes the third, do you see Reagor's fighting over it? Because like we kind of, if we're in charge, there's no reason to bring him any more than 5th. I think that's the highest you can bring him.
Yeah. My gut feeling is that when we start camp and they start practicing and they start showing the lineup, Reagor's going to be the third receiver, because they're going to try to push him to be the third receiver because he's a first-round pick. I don't think it'll play well, and I don't think it'll last long, but I think that they're going to give him first shot just because the front office is going to want to do it. That is my guess. Once he falls to like the 5th wide receiver, they may try to get rid of him. They may just get rid of him and eat it.
But it would be good that somehow, if he could have another good camp and be higher on the depth chart due to us not trying to play the likes of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and say you get a little Gardner Minshew and Jalen Reagor chemistry in the preseason, that could also sell him. Because again, you know, another GM or another GM/coach might say, as you said, look at the physical stature. Look what he was able to do here. Look how this is how I would use him. The Eagles have used them differently, and so everybody thinks that they're the egos as a head coach is crazy, and that's why I also credit Sirianni for delegating play calls, because if you're going to go out, you want to go out on your own term. But you gotta make him look as good as possible.
Yeah, and he's got to come in and like not fail his physical, like last year, you know. But the question is, if he has that one-handed catch in camp this year, I'm not going to flip out about it this year. I ate it all up, man. Like Ben Simmons shooting threes at practice, I ate it all up. I'm not doing it. I don't care what Reagor does. He's got to show me on the field.
That's crazy. And then for camp battles, we talked about them. You know, there's so many. Like we were talking about, the wide receiver 3, 4, 5, linebackers, safety. You know, even the rotation at the D line. How much does Jordan Davis get? Do you see Jordan Davis being a bigger factor than people tried to say when he was drafted?
I think so. I think he's gonna have 5.5 sacks this year. I think Jordan Davis is gonna be a monster. The people that say, well, he only plays so many snaps in college and this, that. If you look at his physical ability, if the guy is in shape, he's an athletic freak. You can't tell me he can't play 3 downs in this. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. I think he has it. He's just got to be in shape, But, Mike, you make a good point. Because, see, the defensive line, the pass rush, to me, is the key to this whole defense, right? You could talk about, well, the Eagles don't have a lot of turnovers. They didn't force a lot of fumbles. They didn't get interceptions. You got to get to the quarterback. They did not get to the quarterback last year. And the Eagles, as long as I've been watching the Eagles, their bread and butter on defense is always that defensive line. They've got to get pressure on the quarterback. And that's going to be the key. Are they going to use Hassan Reddick the right way? If they do, he should be double-digit sack guy, right? I mean, he had double-digit sacks in Arizona and Carolina. There's no reason why he shouldn't come to Philly. Then you have Brandon Graham coming back from injury. Where's he going to be at? And then can Josh Sweat, can he take another step? So I think the defensive line it's the key. It's the key to this defense.
Yeah, and we can't forget Derek Barnett. He'll get playing time. I'm not looking forward to him doing anything positive.
My one move I did not like.
Yeah, I know that. But you're right though. Jordan Davis to me is going to be more impactful than what they say. For the simple fact that forget Jordan Davis and what he looks like and who he is, right? Their philosophy was they pulled him off not necessarily because of stamina, but because they had dogs, no pun intended, on that team. And they rotated. Even guys like who was the other guy we were looking at? The other D tackle for the Georgia.
Oh, what's this? Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Somebody in the chat.
I forget.
Trevon Walker went first overall, but there was the other guy. Someone let us know. But before that, shout out to George Burwell with the $5 Super J. He said, "What's going on, Philly Mike and Philly 500?" I see you got Denzel on the channel. Appreciate all the work y'all do. Fly Eagles fly.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
it's an honor to be here.
There it is.
It's Wyatt.
Yeah.
Wyatt, yeah.
So all that being said, like they rotated and they understood that Jordan Davis got quick hands, quick feet. But where is he most successful? Still stopping the run because they played him at nose. So they said, we got pass rushers. Why am I going to waste him on pass rushing when I can play these other dogs? Nakobe Dean had 5.5, 6 sacks or whatever blitzing. Yeah. And so they decided not to. The one thing that Jonathan Gannon said good all this offseason is that we look at Jordan Davis as an all-around player. And I can see that 5.5 sounds real good. And again, you think, what? That's not that much for his position. It does. Yeah. And I would like the Eagles to transfer into that 3-4 as Fletch leaves. Hargrave used to play it. You got Jordan Davis, and that will allow Reddick to rush the passer almost on a regular if we go to that 3-4. So, I'm looking for transition into that soon.
I kind of like the idea of a hybrid. I like the idea that 1 week, depending upon matchups, you can go into a 4-3-3-4. I'm totally cool with that, if they could do it. But to me, I think Jordan Davis could be 3-4, 4-3. I think he could play both. He just got to stay in shape. That's the only thing that scares me about Jordan Davis is 3-4 years from now, is he in shape?
Yeah. Well, I think, if he's ever going to get out of shape, it's not going to be in this first contract because he knows what he's playing for. Yes, he's a first-round pick. He got paid, but still, that if you can be the guy he's supposed to be, where we drafted him, that first paycheck, that first legit contract is going to be. He knows what Fletch just got paid, when he got his deal. So if you want to be $100 million man in the years to come, you need to do what you need to do. And I do like the fact that as soon as he got to Philly, he kind of lost weight already. Yeah. And he's been already quoted like, I love to eat, but I know I can eat in moderation. You know what I mean? So
I know that's like that. Yeah. I know what that's like. Yeah. Me and him can have some therapy sessions if he needs it.
Keto, right? Keto.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sandeep Sign with the $5 super chat said, in a new poll we got to run. How many meltdowns will Philly 5 have over Derek Barnett? What are 17 games? So you can mark at least 17. Now, will there be multiple per game?
So how many times does he get a penalty defensively per game? Like once
At
per
least.
game? Yeah, so at least I'd say 17 over under.
That's where you start. That's where the over under is.
Yeah.
You started at 17.
Because he pisses me off like nobody else.
His snaps should come down though. With BG being there, Milton Williams being half D tackle, half pass rusher, having Reddick on one side, rushing the passer, Josh Sweat still. So right there, if you look at Barnett, Sweat, Graham, and Reddick, that's 4 guys you're messing around on the outside. So
the Brandon Graham worries me a little bit because of the nature of the injury and the age. Like I hope he's, and everybody say he looks great, but hopefully he goes out there and he's not having swelling or anything throwing him back and he can play at a high level. Because if he's banged up and you need Derek Barnett more, I think that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree. But again, and so I think you got to realize where he is in his career, to be honest, and be like, okay, you used to play this many snaps per game. Yeah. But by playing them, you're not as productive as you once were. So, that last year, Ryan Kerrigan was at Washington. That is kind of maybe what you want Brandon Graham's role to be. We thought we were getting that Ryan Kerrigan for our team, but he just disappeared.
Man, oh, man. Yeah.
It was like 7 games. He had 1 tackle.
I really thought we were getting like a Chris Long type, I mean, geez. Yeah, that was really pathetic.
Yeah. And so if I had to ask you on the defensive side still, the most impactful signing when it comes to Bradbury, Reddick, Kaiser White, you can even add the Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, not signing, but, new players. Who do you think is just going to stand out?
Reddick.
By far. Reddick. Right?
Reddick. It was like a week before free agency, and I went back and I was watching Jonathan Gannon's press conference when he was hired. And he was talking about running a hybrid defense. He wanted to be able to run a hybrid. And I started thinking to myself, if he really wants a hybrid, they're going to sign Reddick. They're going to go after Reddick. And I did a Philly shakedown with Joey, and I said, I think they're going after Hassan Reddick because they want to play more 3-4. And they did. And I think he is the biggest deal for them because you've got to get to the quarterback. Yeah. So to me, I think Hassan Reddick was the most important signing on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I got a co-sign. I think that, just look at our Super Bowl year, right? There was a way that we made Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby be somewhat successful throughout the totality of a season and the playoff run because of how vicious the pass rush was, from Fletch to BG to even Derek Barnett with the potential, and the other guys like Chris Long and these guys. And so that can turn. And when you already have a secondary or a cornerback group that you feel comfortable with, being able to be put in sticky situations, that just makes it much more easier for your pass rush. I just think that, the personnel is there, as like Dr. C said, it puts the sole pressure on Jonathan Gannon being a guy who just won't allow quarterbacks to drop back and complete 80% of their passes.
That you just can't do that. That was the most annoying thing. And to me, if you want to ask the biggest question mark for me on this team is Jonathan Gannon. I don't know what to expect from him. Like, is he going to become much more aggressive defensively? Is he willing to blitz more? Or is he going to allow the same things to happen? Is he going to have his corners 7-8 yards back? You know what I mean? Or are you going to man up and you're gonna bring pressure when you have to? You have guys like Nakobe Dean who can blitz. So
exactly.
they've got to be more aggressive, and they've got to get to the quarterback more. And it's not always about sacks, right? You don't just have to get sacks. Force the quarterback to throw early. Hit him, put him on the ground. Those things add up, man. They add up. Yeah. But there was too many times that we watch, and you stream the game, I stream the game, and I'm going, look at the quarterback. They've got they haven't even been on the ground. Their jersey, their pants are clean. It should never happen. It should never happen.
I agree. All the hits, all the flinches, they add up to an errant throw. And it's that one time where the quarterback gets the ball out of his hand quicker than the defender comes, but the cornerback's there to read it. You got ball hawks like Bradbury who can play zone and man. And so you got to give opportunities. And I think the best type of defense is, I like a defense that goes 3 and out a lot, but them opportunistic, I can never say that word, but that type of defense is a defense you really want because more possessions for the offense. And that's how you win football games by putting up points. Sydney family with the $2 super chat. Carson Strong jelly legs may surprise. Let me ask you this. I know Gardner Minshew has that beautiful contract, right? In the sense of he's very cheap. And let's be honest, if you're looking at all the backups across the league, he's probably a top 3, top 5 backup when you look at solely backup quarterbacks. Is there a chance that somebody gets needy and Howie gets greedy? And we end up doing that to believe in Carson Strong to be that, well, we don't want to play him, but Jalen's number 1, Carson Strong number 2. And depending on how the season goes, Jalen either holds on to that spot or then we do something.
I mean, it's always possible. I mean, they did it with Bradford, right? They got a first-round pick for him. So, you never know. But let me ask you this. Let's say Minshew was a starting quarterback right now on this team. Would he be good enough to win the division?
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
So my point is this. Hurts, I don't think he can afford to struggle.
I hear you there.
You know what I mean? Like he had a lot of maneuverability. They weren't going to do anything he was learning. But let's say we get to week 10, week 11, and he's struggling. You have a guy like Minshew who could come in on that talent around him and probably be pretty good. So I'm not sure. My point is I'm not sure they're going to trade him. I think the plan is to keep him just in case, and then hopefully Strong could develop into that number 2 next year.
Thank you for helping me sound it out. I need all the help possible. Yeah, that's the one word I can say. I gotta really focus to say that word.
There's like 8 words I can't say.
But here's my thing. Again, I think the roster set up real good for any quarterback on this team. I think that they both bring 2 different dynamics. We want to talk about arm strength and Tiki Barber saying noodle arm. I don't think strength has ever been Jalen Hurts' problem. It's the other things. It's the time and anticipation and accuracy at times. And, Gardner Minshew, even though he looked good in that Jet game,
he don't have a big arm either.
No, that touchdown to Dallas Goedert died in the air. We just, it kind of looked up.
He don't have a big arm either. I think that the noodle arm is such crap.
Yeah,
I mean, look, he can make the throws. He doesn't have Josh Allen's arm. He doesn't have Mahomes' arm. You don't need it. I mean, not everybody has arm. But if you're accurate, it makes up for a lot of it. So he's got to be more accurate. I think he's got to be able to throw guys open. He's got to, he's got to have good mechanics. And I think he'll be fine. I really do.
But back to the Minshew thing, right now, I think Hurts gives us the best chance to win.
Me too.
Because I still think he's just, for what he might lack in the passing last year, which I do believe he's gotten better and is going to. He just is a stud when it comes to defense. Has got to focus on him running as much as anything. And I think that's also going to be a key to him being a successful passer by getting out there running, making the defense have to really watch you stay disciplined in their gaps in the third. Having to send another guy makes it almost impossible to guard the trio of Smitty, Brown, and Goddard. You know what I mean? Like Smitty was getting bracket coverage, 2 guys on him, the best corner. All that stuff changes, and I think a guy who struggles to go from read to read last year, when the reads are going to be easier, when the coverage is going to be easier because you have a little bit more autonomy and you feel like, okay, guess what? There's no way this guy can. So your first read could be just give it to AJ Brown on a slant. I'm gonna put the ball only where my guy catches it or he don't, and then what he can do after the ball. So I think that this roster set up good. Minshew's a guy that if Hurts gets nicked up, he can come in and win some games. But my whole thing is this: if Hurts ain't the guy, I don't want Minshew to ever be the guy. Well, can he come in?
Right.
Yeah. Like if Hurts ain't the guy, I need a new quarterback. I'm not on the line of. I think Minshew had his chance, and he did some okay things, but he's here because he's here.
Right. I agree. I don't think Minshew is a franchise quarterback. I think he's a good backup quarterback that can win you some games. I totally 100% agree with you. No question about it.
To your point, though, you said like week 10 and he's struggling. So my thing is if we're at week 10, week 12 and he's struggling, and we're already out of it.
Well, no. I'm thinking like week 10, 12, you're in the wild card hunt. But with this schedule, it's disappointing because it's so easy. But you're like a game or two out of the wild card, and you're struggling, and he's struggling.
So he would have to be worse than what he was last year.
Right.
Saying.
Worse. Yeah.
I mean, in that sense, and then you really like, because again,
somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true, but that in 16 games, Minshew has thrown like 40 touchdowns and like 15 interceptions, which is interesting.
I know his stats for his first like 16, and it wasn't all in one season because he came in the middle and he had to finish the. It was kind of like how Jalen Hurts' first 16 was, where someone last year and one before. His stats are really good, but again, it come down to the fact that.
I don't want Minshew. Believe me, I'm not. I'm just. This is a hypothetical situation. I do not want him to play at all. Okay, but hypothetically, my point is that I don't think Hurts can. I think they're going to be a lot more critical of him this year.
Oh yeah, is
what I'm trying to say, and I think the front office, the coaching staff will be because of the talent around him. So. But again, I don't want Minshew.
So real quick though, and this is the predicament, because I know you have spoken about this on your own show, and I think last time we were live all together, right? There's such thing called quarterback purgatory or NFL purgatory.
NFL purgatory, yeah.
Right? Where again, so just say if come week 10, Hurts is struggling where the Eagles are kind of in it, kind of out of it. If you just say you make the switch and then say you go ahead and get the wild card spot, now you're ultimately saying you don't want Minshew to be your guy. You finally gave up on Hurts, and now you just kind of did yourself a disservice in the sense that your fringe made the playoffs, you blah, 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 and now you're in that spot where the guys don't fall to you, especially if the Saints are making some moves. Right. I think at that point,
let him play. I agree.
But yeah, I agree. I really again, and I know a lot of people get sensitive to this because, again, what we're doing here is putting out scenarios. None of us are saying that Jalen Hurts is going to fail or anything like that.
No, I expect Jalen Hurts to throw at least 25 touchdowns this year. I'm thinking 25, 13 interceptions, and around 4,000 yards. Yeah. So I expect him to have a significant jump. It's just a hypothetical situation because we know from the beginning of free agency, when the Eagles hadn't done anything, we heard that they went after Russell Wilson. We heard that they went after Deshaun Watson. They took Kenny Pickett out to dinner. We didn't know what the hell was going on. So it's always in the back of your mind until Jalen Hurts goes out and plays so well that you can say, all right, we're good to go,
Yeah, and it also comes down to, the reason we hedged our bet with a pick and whatnot. Right. All that comes into it. But to me, it just comes back to Jalen Hurts did pretty well last year. I believe, like you said, I think I really do see him getting around 4K. I know Pro Football Focus did a stat leader for each category. They had AJ Brown at 1,150 yards, 1,152 receiving yards. They had our guy Smitty at 906, so he went back a little bit. Yeah. They had our leading rusher at Jalen Hurts. That's going to hurt Miles Sanders' stock. He had like 780. And then they had Jalen Hurts as the leading passer, of course, with 4,125 yards, something like that. They didn't do touchdowns and all that. But I can see 4K, especially with 17 games. My thing is, if he gets 25 touchdowns and he still kind of duplicates, 8 to 10 rushing touchdowns, that's a combined for 35 touchdowns. That's a winning.
Then we're good to go. I think we're good to go. I think you have to stay with them and you move forward. I mean, to me, that's what it would say, that's what it would signify. It's going to be interesting because I don't want to see Jalen Hurts run as much as he did last year. I want them to dial that back. I do. I think they're going to throw more than they run, and I'll tell you this. I think by the end of the year, I think Devontae Smith's going to lead the team in receptions.
Receptions or yards?
Both.
Oof.
I think he's going to have a monster year. And now that, early on in the season, A.J. Brown's going to get all that attention. It's going to – this guy was open like every play. If you look at all 22, he's always open anyways. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, definitely. When we first got A.J. Brown, I know everything went to him, all the focus. I definitely was saying a bunch of times that, look, we've seen the main guy get the coverage and the other guy do it. We saw that with a lot of players. Like look at Tyler Lockett over his years where he had big years because they had Baldwin on one side, or now DK's on one side and Tyler Lockett's getting 1,100, 1,200 yards because the focus is on DK. So all that is true too. It's just that there's just so many mouths to feed. Because I think we forget that this is Dallas Goedert's first year actually being tight end number 1 all year. I feel like Zach Ertz has been gone for a while, but he was on the roster last year.
Yeah.
He was making us play some 12 personnel. He was taking some of Dallas Goedert snaps at times.
That's why I don't think they're going to, but that's one of the reasons why I don't think they're going to be nearly as run heavy as they were last year. You just got too many guys, too many weapons, you know?
And here's the thing, though. What I don't want Hurts not to do is them special runs in the sense as much as I would love to see him drop back on third and 7 and hit that guy across the middle. I mean, once it's third down, I don't care. Get the first down. And so I still want to see the timely, beautifully executed runs. I just don't want to see that and then look back and say, oh, my God, a touchdown was there. I don't want to miss the touchdown for the 7-yard conversion. But that Saints run was special. That goes up there with all you look at Michael Vick's runs, you look at Lamar Jackson. That Saints run was legit, a top 5 quarterback run ever.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. You don't want to totally take it away from him. But I just think you got to pick your spots. But I just don't want him to get hurt. Yeah. That's what I always worry about. Now I know he got hurt last year, but I think he actually got hurt in the pocket, right? Didn't one of his own guys roll on him or something?
Yeah, for that ankle.
So it happens. But I think hopefully he as he gets to be a better passer, the design runs cut back. He still can take off. You know what I'm saying?
Cut them back. Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see this offense with those wide receivers and the tight end. How do they use those running backs out of the backfield? I think you have Professor Kenneth Gainwell, good receiving running back. I think you need to use Miles more in the passing game too. I think there's a lot of weapons on this team.
Yeah, and I think you heard Miles. He said he wants opportunities. And when John Clark said about him, well, have you been working on catching passes and stuff like that? He was like, I still know how to catch. He got a little upset. He's like, bro, I can still catch. My rookie season didn't happen for no reason. I think it's opportunities. But shout out to Dane with the $5 super chat. He said, I agree about Jalen probably has just as much strength as Brady, but Brady's far more accurate and more developed in the head where he can, again, the guys who've been around can literally get to the line of scrimmage, especially if you're playing some lackadaisical defense and say, okay, as soon as I snap the ball, I know I got my out route. Boom, you made a big mistake. You motion one time, your linebacker, killing you across, doing this and the third. That's all stuff that Jalen got to develop. And, I think being at the line of scrimmage, his pre-snap reads, just doing that better is going to make him such a better player because of the talent. Because as you just said, with Gainwell and Sanders and Goddard, your pre-snap reads can make you know exactly where to go with the ball. And then all these guys got yak. And just to touch on Kenny G real quick, I said this to LB. He was like, huh? He was surprised. 107 touches Kenneth Gainwell had last year. 40 of them were for first downs or touchdowns.
Wow. That is wow.
So he touched the ball 107 times, and 40 out of the 107, which is like 37.3%. I did the math today. I didn't tell LB that yet, though. Right. Was for first down or touchdown. So he's a guy who, has playmaker written all over him. And I think Miles Sanders kind of know that. That's why he's so hard hitting opportunities, because they both are guys who can make things happen.
Yeah. Oh, totally agree. I didn't realize that Gainwell did that either. So that's pretty impressive. No question about it.
Yeah, that's tough. David with the $2 super chat, he said Brady wasn't accurate earlier on either, though. Yeah, and that's the things. I think in today's game, we expect the quarterbacks to come out and be great right away, and we've seen it from some, the Herberts, the Burrows, the Mahomes. But then we've seen some of the greats like the Drew Breeses, the Tom Bradys, and the Peyton Mannings that struggled for a couple years. The one thing is, though, like the Peyton Manning, though, he had that high draft capital tied to him. And just like we're doing with Reagor and Whiteside, when you're a high draft pick, they try to make sure you don't pan out before they let you go. Brady, on the other hand, was just, he got right place, right time, and then he became the GOAT. You know what I mean? But it's hard to say what one person does. Like, again, you can say these three just came in and they're firing on all cylinders. Some people don't, some people do, but it's just, in today's game, I think the leash is just always going to be a little bit shorter because everybody wants to win. Now.
Yeah, and you got rookie contracts, and you have to give an extension, and are you going to commit? So you have to learn a lot quicker. But I mean, when Brady came, Brady didn't have the biggest arm either, and he wasn't all that. He got better as he aged, but as you play more in this league and you see more defenses, it gets easier. So I think reading a defense, something like that, is where you can see Jalen Hurts improve a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Brady also had that really good defense, hard hitting. I mean, the first couple Super Bowls were credited to Bill Belichick and all the guys like Seymour and Bruschi and all of them.
Yeah, in a lot of ways he was a game manager. But in the playoffs and in crunch time, he could make the drives. But I always wonder what would happen if they would have called that tuck rule, that a fumble. Like, would Brady be Brady if that's a fumble and the Raiders win? I don't know.
And then, but again, look how crazy it is, right? For the simple fact that, like, you got the tuck rule thing, you got a long Vinatieri field goal. Like, again, Brady is the GOAT. I'm giving it to him. I mean, he just has that will to win. But like, football is the ultimate team game, and in the sense of, Vinatieri misses that kick, the tuck rule don't get called.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks just run the ball with Marshall.
Run the ball, yeah.
You're talking about a totally different era of that's half his Super Bowls, And again, it's the luck of a draw. Like, Vinatieri is good, but Brady has really nothing. Yes, he drove him down there and all that, but this is a game of seconds and inches, and just like that, things can change.
Yeah, and we're not saying Brady is or Hurts is Brady. Just putting that out there because I know people are going to say it.
And there it is. We say Hurts.
There you go. See, I knew
it. Quote: Philly Mike and Philly 500 said, "Give Hurts time. He's going to be the next."
We'll have Mark Holmes make a video. He's probably making it now. Philly 500 said Hurts is like Brady.
Nah, but like I said, it's in today's game. I don't think you can be that struggling quarterback for 3 years and get that luxury. I think that was the Brady era and the Peyton Manning era, where quarterbacks sometimes sat for a year and learned, and that's changed now. You don't have the Aaron Rodgers treatment and the Peyton Manning treatment where, Colts would have gave up on him, they would be hurt because he revolutionized the game as well with the whole changing the play at the line, Omaha.
Yeah.
So, a lot of things, but it's just the way the game changed, and social media plays a big part in these guys' mindsets and all that. And it's
salary cap does the way that they slot the contracts. Everybody wants to take advantage of a quarterback's rookie contract, right? So it all plays a part.
Yeah. So, with that being said, man, training camp is in 8 days. It's so close to coming here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. If you don't follow us on Twitter, they're right there. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, on both channels. Looking forward to do this throughout the season with Philly 500 and as many great Eagle content creators there is out there. This is going to be an epic season And I can say that 100% because it's going to be epically good or epically bad. Because of what transpired in the offseason, it's going to be epic either one way or the other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. you know, one way or the other, it's going to be high drama.
It is.
You know?
Because, like you said, last year, we were high on Hurts, we were high on Sirianni, but we were a team that realized we only won 4 wins. We're coming off a playoff berth. We done in Philly 500s where it had the best offseason ever. And I kind of agree.
I can't remember a better offseason. I mean, because we're not talking about a team that just put together a roster for 1 year. You look at the guys that they got. These are guys for 4 or 5 years down the road. Like you said, A.J. Brown's young. He's not even in his prime. Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. I mean, Bradbury, Tart. I mean, okay, those are 1-year deals. We got some veterans maybe in the last year of their contract. But for the most part, this is a team that is built for the long term. So I can't remember a better. Maybe Owens coming and Javon Curse, maybe that year.
But you said Javon Curse and Owens coming to a playoff caliber team. They were a little bit more built because we were going to NFC championships at that time. But the amount of moves and the way we did it, like you said, Hassan Reddick is in that piece that's going to grow with this team. Yep. And just because Kaiser White signed a 1-year deal and James Bradbury, don't mean we can't let him play 1 year and then extend him for two more years. Because I think Bradbury being only 28, you can play. Look at Slay playing some of his best football at the age of 30. So I think the guys who are leaving, the Kelsey and the Fletches, most likely are done. Whether we made the right move, I think Jordan Davis is automatically the right move. But then you got a guy like Cam Jurgens, who was handpicked by 2 guys, the guy who was leaving and one of the best O-line coaches. So we're preparing. I think I've said this before. We got 3 tiers of this team. We got old guys who are still playing at a high level, Pro Bowlers, and like Slay and Kelsey and even Fletch playing at a high level via the run. You got the guys who are already proven in the NFL, but still didn't hit their prime. Reddick didn't hit his prime. Kaiser White, A.J. Brown, even Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, they're just getting into their deals. They're going to be better. They're going to be better the next 2 years. And then you got the young guys who only been here a year or 2 that we have high potential on. The Quez, the Smitty, the Jordan Davis, the Dean, and then let's not forget the whole left side of our offensive line who's only been playing as a rookie and or under contract for 1 year, Mulata and Dickerson. So there's a lot of youth guys getting to their prime and guys still doing it. And so that's why we have it where we can try to win now, but also be competing. We're not putting ourselves in the hole like after 17, where now we were just scraping for other guys and wins.
Yeah, I mean, just think. Let's say Hurts, for argument's sake, isn't the guy, and you have to go out and get a quarterback. Can you imagine whichever quarterback comes in, he's getting plugged into A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard? I mean, how many quarterbacks would love a situation like that,
And that's a 5-year plug because, look at Smitty's contract. Look what we just did, or 4 years for. It's a long-term plug. Before we get it, I got to ask you this, though, because early on, I really thought the Saints would give us, a pretty darn good pick. But since then, because remember, they lost Sean Payton, right?
Yeah.
Drew Brees been gone, but they lost Sean Payton. They lost Malcolm Jenkins. They lost Marcus Williams. They lost an offensive lineman. And
Kamara's suspended.
Kamara is it guaranteed, or he might still?
Well, he might be able to appeal it, but I think he's suspended 5 games, 4 or 5 games, something like that.
Well, that's still good. But they get Tyrann Matthews. They go get Marcus May. They signed some offensive lineman. I forgot who was it. It's not equivalent to the guy they lost. But they started to patch it all the stuff they do, and they're kind of in the same boat. I think roster-wise now with Michael Thomas, Javaris Landry, and I forgot the speedster's name. When they get Kamara back, the offensive line kind of rebuilt. Defense, they get the Honey Badger and these guys. They still got Cameron Jordan. They got Marshawn Lattimore. They're back to, we got to see what their new coach does, and hopefully Sean Payton is a big loss. That's what I'm holding on to still, that and Kamara.
Yeah.
But they got a good roster according to the people that are hyping the Eagles up. They're hyping their roster up. They're in the same thing. Is Jameis Winston good enough to win with that roster? The same way they're saying is Jalen Hurts good enough to win this roster? We need their pick to be low to make sure that we don't want them to be say they're a wild card team or they win one playoff game or they were where we were last year. Then we're getting that 19, 20, 21 pick.
I think it's a top 12 pick. I'm going to say top 12. I'm going to say they're going to give us a top 12 pick.
That's what I said when the deal first happened. But now with all these moves, I'm like, why do Saints keep getting a little bit better?
Yeah, they do. But I like you said, I mean, Sean Payton and Drew Brees are gone. Kamara suspended. Jameis Winston. I mean, he's up and down. Like, you know what I mean? He could look really good at times and then look really bad at times. So you never know.
Coming off an ACL. He is coming off an ACL.
So that could be a problem. I did watch him. I was watching him work out. He looks like he's in tremendous shape, though. Yeah. Like he looked in great shape. I'm going to say top 12. I still think we're going to get top 12.
I like it because for everybody that just says before we get out of here, like, oh, if Jalen Hurts stinks, just go get a top quarterback. Well, let's just say this: the teams that are sitting at 1, 2, 3, they're sitting there most likely because they don't have a quarterback. Not many teams have a quarterback they believe in that they stink so badly. They're 1, 2, 3. And so if you're 1, 2, 3, need a quarterback, no matter what we give you, why are you going to let us come up there and get the supposed franchise? So it's real hard. Like
you need Jacksonville to be like stink again, right? But like Lawrence is good enough that they stay with him, but they still lose everything.
You need it to be Jacksonville, New York Jets. Not the Giants, the Jets.
Not the Giants.
And then like maybe the Bears. And then and then it's like you're really going to give up on all three of these quarterbacks in the very following year. Like then it's like okay for it. Then they're going to get out.
Well, they got 2 first-round picks, right? So they're going to get rid of those 2 first-round picks and then probably a first-rounder next year. So it's probably going to cost you 3 first-round picks to move up. But the way I see it is this: Miami was 1-7 last year.
Oh yeah, that hurt.
They were 1-7, and we had the 3rd pick, and then they go on like a 8-game winning streak. It's like, how bad of luck could you get? We're owed something from that to me. So hopefully we'll get it back this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to your top 12 pick.
Top 12.
Top 12. I'll take that. And like you said, if we get some of the guys who just drafted a quarterback still stinking, well then maybe you can say Jets. You like Zach Wilson, you like his mom too.
Her friend's mom,
and his friend's mom, and oh man, but you like them. So then they say, okay, we're gonna trade 2 first-round picks to Eagles, maybe in next if you believe in like that, if that's the route. But right now I'm holding on to the fact that Jalen Hurts is the guy, and the Eagles do something good.
That's the best case scenario, though. Like, what if he's great and we stay with him? Now we have 2 first-round picks to use to whatever. That's what we want. That's the best case scenario.
And if we still have that top 12 pick, that's even better, because our pick, if he's as good as we think, then our pick's going to be later. If we can, muster up and win a playoff game.
I have a question for you. Now this is early, and I know you hate. What do you think the Eagles' floor and ceiling is this year?
The ceiling is going. I'm going to say 13 games. That is us clicking on all cylinders. I know our schedule is this, and it's crazy. Like when I did the schedule release thing, I did it as a recorded video, so it wasn't live, but I did it, and I'm going through. I had the picture up. I'm going through them all, and I'm like, I actually get to 13 wins on accident. I'm like, hold on, be more realistic. So I called us winning 11. And then I said, give or take, maybe we get 12. So I was sticking 11 and 12. I think 13 is the ceiling. And my floor, I'm going to say 10.
10. Yeah.
I could see a scenario where we win 9 again, and then it's just people are super frustrated with 9.
9.
But I think I'm gonna stay with 10 only because like I think the schedule is easier this year. So you're talking about an easier schedule,
yeah.
an easier
It
schedule.
is, yeah.
All the upgrades we had, like we would have to be ravished with injuries, but I'm gonna say floor 10, ceiling 13.
I tend to agree. I'll put it in terms of this. I think my floor is they have to win the division. They have to win this division and get a home playoff game. Ceiling to me is NFC Championship game. They don't have to win it, but get there. An appearance at NFC Championship. That is my ceiling. Now, I think between 10 to 13 wins from floor to ceiling. I tend to agree.
I think if the division beats up on each other a little bit and, blah, 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 outside of it, the Cowboys beat Cowboys, Washington beat Washington. I can see the division going to, I said before, I think it's still Eagles, Cowboys. I'm not totally counting out the Washington blah, blah, blahs because, they got a pretty decent team. And say what you want about Carson, it's their best quarterback in a minute. So we'll say that.
Yeah.
But I still think and I always say like 10, 11. I think like if I'm just being honest, and I think that, each team goes through some trials and tribulations because there's going to be a game where we're like, wow, did we really beat the Titans and shut down Derrick Henry? They just say the Titans are pretty good because they always start out pretty good. But there might be that game where it's like, how did we lose to the Bears? Really? We lost, every good team still loses to a bad team.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
And so, I always said like 10-11 is going to be the division winner. 10-11. I think that's where
I think that's about right. Yeah. Yeah, you got an extra game. I think that's about right. But I'm telling you, if this team does not win this division, I'm going to be upset. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think Dallas is that good. I think Washington's beatable. And the Giants, I think, even though they, I think they did some good things, they're still a few years away.
Yeah.
So I just think that with the schedule and the players around, I feel like they got to win this division. They got to beat Dallas on Christmas Eve. They got to. I can't deal with it.
So wait,
I can't.
Do you have like what do you even have us going in the division? And it's really early, man. Like we might come out of we might watch training camp, watch preseason, and then say we smack the Lions 30-31 10. Then we have a different mindset.
I think Dallas fans are gonna hate me. I think the Eagles split with Washington. Right. They split with the Giants because the last game's meaningless. And they sweep Dallas. They're sweeping Dallas.
Sweeping Dallas. And so far, I have yet to say that. I had to split. But, hey, we need that. They beat us, 4 in consecutives?
They crushed us last year. They might have beat us 4 consecutive games, right? Yeah.
Two of them, though. Two of them we had. I think 2 of them we benched our guys. Or no?
Well, I don't remember.
Last game of the season we did.
Last year we had our 3rd string in.
Yeah.
They
were still showing us no mercy though, and that's why we owe it to them. They were still, Dak Prescott broke the record. Just like, bro, you're going to the playoffs. Settle down, but they didn't. They just kept their foot on the pedal on purpose.
No, I know. I think we sweep Dallas this year. We're going to split with Washington because we always split with Washington. That final Giant game is going to be meaningless because we're going to clinch that division on Christmas Eve in Dallas. That's what I want.
How lovely that will be.
I'm dreaming of it because I'm going to be miserable Christmas. If that game we lose, it's going to ruin my whole holiday.
Yeah, I might be the first grown man to legit cry on the stream just because it's gonna even be later for me because I'm on the East Coast, so it's gonna be in my celebration area.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting ready to go celebrate and make some eggnog and do all my thing, and then I don't want to be sad, man.
Well, I'll take that. I initially had split with Cowboys, split with Washington, and that's the crazy thing. I split both of them, but I still came to that 11, 12, 13 area. So, but I'll give you that. I did say sweep the Giants, but there could be that scenario you said where what is it? It's the very last game of the season,
I think
or
it's like
is it second to last?
Second. I think it's second to last. I think it's second to last. I have to look it up, but
I know the Saints are far out there too. I didn't know which one was the last
Saints
one.
are. Yeah, I have to double check. I'd have to pull it up. But I mean, when you look at their schedule, though, I mean, I don't know. I look at their schedule, and there's not any game that I go, oh, they can't win that game. Nah, that game's a loss. You know, last year it was like they're playing Tampa, but that's a loss. They're playing Kansas City, well, that's a loss. Yeah, you know they're
even
losing.
The Chargers, I was like, yeah, like, there was legit ones because the Chargers, you know, they were garnering steam.
This year, I look at it and I'm like, can they beat Tennessee at home? Why not? Can they beat Green Bay at home? It's possible.
And we're getting the worst Green Bay we've seen in a while because they have not ever played without their all-star wide receiver. We're getting Tennessee with now shut down the run because who are they really throwing to? I don't believe in Treylon Burks yet. He came into camp overweight already. So you know, I'm just saying, like, the schedule is set up pretty darn good, and it's crazy. We got to start hot because I believe Dallas's schedule is tough in the beginning.
Yeah,
and it gets cupcake at the end.
Yeah, I think they're tough at the beginning, and then it loosens up. Yeah, but Dallas, we know one thing. Once December comes, it's Cowboys choke season. I mean, was that not the ultimate greatest choke job last year? Dude,
it was
Dak runs a quarterback draw with 14 seconds.
If my coach calls that in, I'm just not doing it.
I just can't believe it. And what's so funny is then in the Kansas City Buffalo game, they go down like 60 yards in 13 seconds. Kansas City to kick a field goal.
Yep.
It's like crazy, man. I knew Dallas was going to choke. I knew they would choke.
Yeah, and then the Cowboy fans came out and said, "Well, we kind of knew that the Niners were the worst matchup." No, you didn't. You thought you were winning. Stop playing with me. Shout out to Jose Serrano with the $2 super chat. He said, "Hurts and the Eagles aren't the same as 21. Look out. Let's bleep and go again."
Oh man, I'm excited.
Either way, like I said to Philly 500, and he agrees, it's going to be epic because even if you're an Eagle fan that didn't talk that much trash, right? The national media has been hyping us up, and if we felt good last year, you got to feel good this year. So it's either going to be epic in the sense that we told you, or it's going to be epic in the sense that how is this happening with all the players we supposedly have? And then, you know, that's what we don't want to have happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's always a situation where the coaches let us down, or, you know, some people question Sirianni. I like Sirianni. I thought what Sirianni did last year with the way he changed his offense, and then to give Steichen the play call, like I he won me over with that. You know, he really did.
As much as I'm won over by Sirianni, I had the same questions for Gannon. The only thing that kind of keeps me able to sleep at night is that I say, okay, well, he didn't have the versatile players. So that's what I'm telling myself. That's what I'm basing it on. But shout out to Sydney family. He said, you think they are, I'm thinking he's talking about the Cowboys trying to get Debo or DK. Do you see a real scenario of them getting one of them?
I think they would. I think it's something to watch.
Well, but here's my question though. I know Amari was the whole not vaccinated. They had that problem with him, right? And they, you know, I don't know, but they didn't want to pay Mari $20 million.
Right.
What are they going to have to pay these guys? Like, because
probably what AJ Brown made, right?
And that's probably like the 25 at least. That's where the conversation starts. So you're not going to pay Cooper, who he's been in the league forever, but he came in very early. He's still not that old.
I think they were down on Cooper. Because Cooper never showed up in big moments.
Yeah, on the road. He definitely packed it up on the road.
You know? So I think they were like, with him. And then they lost Wilson, right? They lost Cedric Wilson. You have Gallup coming back from an ACL. I don't think that their offense in the passing game is that scary. I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb's good, but he's your number one now. And then they got James Washington, all right? I could see a situation where if given the opportunity, I could see them going for one of those two guys. And it would scare the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie. I think that could shift the power in the division.
Yeah, because then, like, if they get a guy who can be as productive as they have been at the number one, putting CeeDee Lamb, who's now been growing as a player. I mean, CeeDee Lamb had like 1,100 yards last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about his drops, but his drops are a little bit bad in the beginning, but he got a hold of it a little bit. So, I just, you might be right. It might not have been the whole $20 million thing. It could have been that, we're paying you $20 million and we're just down on you. But because the conversation would have to start for one of them guys, Debo or DK, at 25. It starts there.
Yeah, it would. But and the thing is I think they would do Debo Samuel before DK because he kills the Cowboys.
Yeah,
like Debo murders the Cowboys. I don't know that it's going to happen. I mean, I think it's probably still a long shot, but I could see Dallas legitimately being interested. Yeah.
Let me get your take on this real quick. Who's better to you, Debo or DK? Skill set, just like total player.
I'm a DK guy, man.
You're DK?
I can't. I just something about the physical size that I just think he's a monster. I think Debo's probably more explosive. You know what I mean? I think he's more explosive, scarier in that way. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but a big, physical, fast guy like that with DK, I just think he's a monster, man. I do.
Yeah, because yesterday when I was doing when I was live with LB, we were discussing it, right? Because we were LB was upset that AJ Brown's not in the top 10 receivers, and 9 and 10 was DK and Debo. And so I said, Stephon Diggs, Hopkins, all them guys are, I can't really take them out. But I said, okay, well, if I'm taking anybody out for AJ Brown, it got to be one of DK or Debo. And that's when I said to him, same thing. I think I would take DK over Debo as a wide receiver. And AJ, I think you can argue, you can have a good argument for all three of them to be 9, 10, 11-ish.
Well, you put AJ Brown with Russell Wilson for the last few years. He's been playing in a run-heavy offense.
30
I think
plus runs,
Yeah, I think that hurts the way people rate him. You know what I mean? But if he's playing in Seattle with Russell Wilson and DK's in Tennessee, I think AJ Brown would have probably made that list.
Yeah. And remember, his rookie season, he only caught the ball 52 times, but he had 20 yards a catch because he was an explosive receiver, whether it's a 5-yard slant going for 30 or him going out deep. Yeah. I think AJ Brown, and now we got the injury prone stuff in here for AJ Brown. He had one year where he missed 6 games, and now he's injury prone, of course, right?
Everybody's injury prone when they come to the Eagles. When they go to Dallas, they're the greatest thing ever. And when they go to the Eagles, they're injury prone automatically.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you for hanging in here with me. We're around an hour and 30 minutes. Listen, hit that like button wherever you're watching it, or hit the like button where you're watching it. Subscribe to the channel. We cover the Eagles every day. Absolutely. And before we get out of here, I want to show you guys one more time, if you weren't here in the beginning, AJ Brown racing Elijah Moore, who ran a 4.34 in his 40 last year, and it's pretty close. That's the first view, fast. And then you're going to see it in slow motion closer to the finish line. And the cone in between, and cone in front of the guy with the white shirt is the finish line. Look at this. And this is a 6 foot 226, 6'1", 6.5 foot. Yeah. Now, Elijah Moore did clap back on one of the Eagle tweeter, Thomas R. Peterson. He does Breaking the Birds. He said 6'1", 226 versus, I forgot how tall he said he was, but he said only 178 pounds. Elijah Moore quote tweeted and said, "Don't believe everything you say on Google. I'm 190.
That's awesome.
But still, that's a 226 man running with a guy who ran a 4.3. Give or take, whoever you want to say won, this man, AJ Brown, has been just showing that he might even be like what we think we got. He might just even be a lot more dynamic. Yeah, I think so. I like I said, I think playing in that style offense Tennessee has played, he didn't get to showcase all his talent. So I expect him to be pretty explosive this year. Yeah, because let's just be honest. 2 things, right? Derrick Henry got on average 28 to 30 runs a game. That's right. That's straight up there. And then AJ Brown has always been the focal point of the passing game in the sense of he gets the CB1, he gets a safety over the top. Like most of AJ Brown's deep passes, he's catching on 2 people.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Julio Jones. At that part of his career, he wasn't that big. He had Corey Davis to his left. Yeah, not good. They traded him to the Jets.
Yep.
He had a washed up 8 games a season Julio Jones. And then who was Tennessee's tight end? They never really had no big name tight ends. So you're talking about Goddard and Smith on the side of AJ Brown it's a domino effect. It's a domino effect, really.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't think the Eagles are going to run nearly as much as Tennessee did. So he's going to get a lot more opportunities. And listen, here's the thing with him too. He was on a run-heavy offense as a wide receiver, and you didn't hear him complain or act like a prima donna. And I think that's a big thing too, man. We don't have to worry about that with him.
Yep, and we got him locked in. So with that being said, training camp 8 days. We're gonna have so much to talk about. Make sure you stay tuned in. We appreciate all the support and all your comments. Y'all give us ideas to, make even new content because you guys bring some great points to the table. You got anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
Just thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. It was fun doing this. We hadn't done this in a while, so next time I'll have you on my channel, and it should be fun.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, give us some training camp, but we can get another round table or something like that too, and get as many, or we can figure it out. But yeah, let me know whenever you want. Cool. Hopefully we got some good stuff to talk about. Until next time, y'all know what time it is. We out. Peace.
Peace.